Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who has helped me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Milica Vogt, who discusses with us an incredible upbringing, her beginning in Croatia, what she endured in the battle there, the reorganization of and the civil wars that existed, what she and her parents had to do to flee the country to safety, time in a refugee camp. She's now in the United States. It is an absolute wonderful story of perseverance. And Marty, I'm thinking one of the greatest outcomes of this is no matter what I'm going through, something better, something greater can and will happen. I just need to stick with it until I achieve that position. What are your takeaways from Milica's talk?
I'm just amazed that in each situation, she had the determination that I'm in this situation, I can do something. I can't do anything about it. But I can do something with myself. I can look at possibly the good side of it. What can I learn through this? And she just had a love for math. And so she goes through her schooling, her determination, through whatever situation, even though she was scared and it was different. But she worked herself through, and amazing, also, her father only had $500 when he brought her and her brother and his wife to America. And she didn't know English, but she was put into a certain class where she could learn English, and she was determined to learn. Just amazing story.
She documented much of her story in the book, Under a Whistling Sky, available on Amazon and other places where books are sold. It is a great opportunity to learn through the reading, but listen to her through this podcast, and let's learn together about resilience and being positive even through great adversity. It's a great opportunity to learn. Milica, it is great to have you with us. Our listeners are going to be very interested in knowing your background. Very few of our listeners, I would suspect, have experienced what you have experienced. Having been in the war-torn Croatia, you were a refugee and an immigrant from a refugee camp. And you have had to experience a lot of things in your past, But it seems, and let's discuss this, but it seems you have not allowed your past and what may have been a difficult start to adversely affect your future. But our listeners are very interested in knowing how you became resilient, how you overcame, how you got your life started in the United States. Those kinds of things we're all very interested in learning. Milica, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Great to be here with you.
Milica, take us back to your time in Croatia, and without totally reliving your past, what was it like to be in a war-torn nation, in a refugee camp, and then how did you get from that to right now you're living in Missouri in the United States, and it's great to have you with us, but how did you make all that happen?
Yeah. So I was born in Croatia, and I was still a young girl, about 7 years old, when the war started in former Yugoslavia. So suddenly, the sense of safety that I knew at the time disappeared overnight, as it felt. And it was replaced in my second grade. It was replaced with bombs, with grenades, with people fleeing, and my family was of mixed ethnicities. So we didn't know where we were going to end up, on Serbian or Croatian side. My dad was a Serbian Orthodox, and the conflict was between Serbs and Croats in Croatia. So we stayed where my dad grew up, in the little village in Croatia. And most of that region was populated by Serbian Orthodox fighting in Croatia. So we experienced displacement, uncertainty, and loss of the life that we knew up to that point. And during that time, some moments were like full of fear and confusion, especially as a young girl, as a grade student. You don't know what's happening all of a sudden. One day you go to school, the next day you don't. You sometimes just hear the grenades outside and you realize probably not going to school today. Or you just wait for your parents, like their look on their faces tells you probably not going. They're going to shelters today instead of school. So, but then during that time, we also experienced a lot of community, because now all of a sudden you're in it together. You're surviving, living or not. So we had a sense of camaraderie and community, especially with my family. It felt that we are like very close, and we had that quiet strength that we need to endure and keep going. So the war lasted until 1995, and then suddenly again, overnight, in the morning, we woke up and it was peaceful for a few months. And then in the morning, we heard loud explosions again. And again, take shelter, we go in. At this time, I'm 12 years old. It was summer of 1995. And that evening, they tell us that we need to leave home. So pack a few belongings and just leave. So, and at that time, they're saying maybe in a few days you're going to come back. So everybody needs to go. And the fear was that if they told us we would never come back, that people wouldn't want to leave. So we packed, my mom, my brother, and I packed a few belongings, put it in a bag, and loaded a open tractor trailer with our neighbors. Because at this point, everybody was leaving. It can be tractors, it can be cars, horse carriages, anything that can maybe go faster than being on foot. So my dad stayed behind, and the idea was that a few men that are not fighting on front lines, they're going to be in the village protecting the village or home. So if Croatian military comes in, that they're going to be still fighting and protecting our belongings in our home. So we left that night, like we traveled through the night. In the morning, when we took like a break in the middle of the night, like in this tractor trailer, it's a column of people. Everybody's leaving at the same time. So they tell us just to keep moving towards Serbia, that there's no going back. And when we asked about my dad and other people asking about their loved ones, they said hopefully by this time they already escaped as well, because Serbian army surrendered and Croatians are taking over the villages and cities in this area. So we traveled for a few, 3 weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks, and finally reached through Croatia, through Bosnia to reach Serbia. And finally, we settled in a refugee camp in Kosovo. This was 1995, August, till end of August 1995, September. And we lived there for 3 years in a refugee camp. And at the beginning, so now we are again in a community of all the refugees. And how did it feel? It felt like I mean, we were almost lost. Like you don't know like where you belong anymore. Are you welcomed here or not? Because the whole country is going under tremendous economic despair at this time after the years of fighting in a war. So there's no jobs. Like a lot of people are losing jobs or working for minimum wage, even if they have the college education. And then it was waiting in line also to get food, somebody handing you the food, like you are completely dependent for survival. So what I really wanted is just go back to school. School already started at that time, so I'm seventh grader. No, I don't know anybody. I'm like, would people be nice to me? How is this gonna go? But I just wanted to go back to school and learn because that would take away all the feelings and all the experiences I had. In school, they're all the same. I'm learning the same thing. I'm being treated the same way that everybody else. Nobody would know at that point, I thought, I'm a refugee, that I have less than everybody else, and that I'm in this situation. And I told myself I wouldn't even talk about it. I wouldn't tell anybody about these experiences. So that's how it went. We lived there for 3 years. I made new friends. I became friends. I studied hard because that was one thing I thought I can control, that I can study and get good grades again. And I loved working on problems, especially like math or chemistry, because that gave me some sense of I can accomplish something. And this is in my control. I can do because even if everything else wasn't in my control and our living situation wasn't, this is. So that's where I put all my energy and all my thoughts into just studying hard. And my dad was very, very hard on us, like about being students and giving our best, because he thought that's one day that's going to get us out of this situation, out of maybe living, even though in the moment I never thought we were in poverty. Looking back, of course, we lived in extreme poverty, living in a refugee camp. And we were lucky because we had one room bungalow. So it was a tiny kitchenette. There was no stove, nothing in it, but it was supposed to be kitchenette. And then it was like one living room that fit a bunk bed where my dad slept, and then one room separated by curtains where two bunk beds fit with like maybe 5-foot passage in between. And that's where my mom, brother, and I slept. So like the top of the bunks were our closets during those 3 years, and we made it work. My parents found jobs. They wanted to go back to work and feel also they're in control. They can make money for our family. And that gave us slowly enough to not depend on food for those 3 years. After they found jobs, they bought this one top stove burner, like where you plug it in. It's like it takes forever to cook, but mine started cooking on that. So slowly, we're not dependent on food through donations and such. And then in 1998, so I finished my freshman year of high school there. That's when, and already for a year, there was already on a rise another civil war, this time between Albanians and Serbs in Kosovo. And my dad wanted to get out of there. And the idea was like that a lot of countries such as US or Australia or Canada are accepting refugees, especially we can go back and mixed ethnicities in particular, because if we go back, would my mom be treated like a traitor because she's of Croatian ethnicity? And in Serbia, there is not like they're already struggling with housing all of these refugees, all of us from Croatia and Bosnia at that time, Serbs from Bosnia. So they applied to immigrate to another country. We didn't know where we would end up. The first time we were rejected, and then they were advised to reapply within a week. They applied, and then we got a letter, telegram at this time that to come for an interview. So we just left the refugee camp again within maybe a week notice this time, except instead of one night. We left and then we went to Belgrade, which is capital of Serbia, waiting for our immigration visa. And again, we didn't know where we would be placed. We go for another interview, and this time with the embassy, U.S. embassy in Belgrade. So we are thinking, because it's U.S. embassy, is it going to be the United States? And they're interviewing us, and then finally saying, well, and then to me in particular, I remember they said, you smile a lot. You will fit in American American culture just right. So we're like, are we going to America? And then when the telegram came a couple months later, it said that we are going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this was like a week before we left the country. And how did that feel? Like personally, I did not want to leave. I was 15 years old, made my new friends, like sense of belonging. I'm a teenager who like cares a lot about friends at this time and social life. I like school as well, but I don't want to go to another country. We didn't speak English, none of us did. We didn't know anything about America except what we saw on the shows like Beverly Hills show or things like that, like LA, looking at LA and all the manicured houses and the lawns. And that's what we thought the United States would be. Well, upon the arrival, we learned hard way maybe that that's not what to expect in the United States. But at the same time, we thought that all the experiences, all the determination, all the struggles that we went through, and all the hard work that we still wanted to persist and persevere, that's going to get us through the next phase. And that's what my family did. Like we thought that we really took that opportunity, that there is so many opportunities in the United States. And even with somebody that came with nothing here, with a few belongings and pots and pans, because my mom didn't want to not be able to cook when we come here again, just like she wasn't in the refugee camp. So that's all we came with. Not much money. I think my dad, I put it in the book that $500 when we arrived here. So really starting from nothing, but in a sense of monetary things, in a sense of understanding ourselves and understand like in all the experiences, even as a 15-year-old, I thought I lived a long life already at that point. So slowly going to school, learning the language, and making sure that I get good grades so I can go to college and succeed eventually. So that was my story from the beginning until, let's say, a few years into living in the United States.
I am totally intrigued by everything you went through, Milica. Uh, are your mom and dad and entire family as determined and resilient as you you seem to be as you described all of this?
I think so. I think that's who gave us the example that even in the hard times, and this is another thing that during the war in Croatia, at the beginning, when you hear the grenades, it's scary, there's fear, like what's going to happen and how are we going to live here? And then you hear it second time, and after 10th or 20th time, you just live your life. These are just the circumstances, and we just still have to, they lost their jobs. So what they started doing is working in the field to like grow vegetables, to have chickens and stuff so that we can eat. They just pivoted. They showed us how to, like that when life gives you the circumstance, there's still something in your control and you can do your best to still live, survive. So yeah, you somehow just get resilient to what's going on around you and you tap in what can you do? What can you control in this situation? So even on the last day when we were all in our neighbors, because all the kids wanted to be together in the shelter. So we all went into our neighbor's basement. And all of a sudden I realized that my mom was gone. And she's like, oh, dad went. Somebody tells me like they went to the field. They had to harvest the wheat like at that time. It's like life still goes on. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. They have chores to do. So even in those situations, like people just kept going. Somehow you become resilient to the noise. You become almost like even though you know that it's there, so you want to make sure you're safe, but there is other parts of life that are still waiting on you. And that's what they showed us, that hard work and then also like providing and taking care of your family as best as you can.
One very, very important aspect that you said, I believe, as a part of your parents, you, that there is something better out there. What do I have control over? There's some factors I do not have control over, but when I identify those things over which I do have control, I will pursue that, and I will be relentless, I'll use that term, in pursuing something better out there. Now, I'm very curious. Do you feel that you're very welcome here in the United States? Have the United States people made you feel very welcome, or have you had to experience how to get along with Americans?
Uh, it was obviously a cultural shock. It's so different. Where I come from, what I lived, and people here, it's just I can't expect that somebody would understand that just by, like, if they don't get to know me really, I wouldn't understand life or vice versa. So at the beginning, it was very hard because obviously I didn't speak the language. You go to school, and my brother and I would go on a bus, and they would just make comments, and eventually we started obviously like learning the language and stuff, but they would just like throw stuff at us because we were different. We didn't speak the language, but I feel like that's era of teenagers. When they do that to anybody, it's not because I'm somebody different, anybody different, they would pick on, they would just do that too. So we didn't take it personal, but we slowly, we think that people here were nice, like they're helpful. Like back at home, let's say, like we liked structure also. So back at home, let's say you go to doctors, you're sick, you go and wait. Now it's different 30 years later, but at that time, what our experience was, you get in line, you just wait for your turn. It's not like you make an appointment, it's 10 o'clock, you come in and you're going to be seen between 10 and 10:30. It's like you wait all day, and whenever it's your turn, you're going to be seen. So we liked certain aspects of American culture, and that's what over time, both my brother and I believe we adapted certain things we like from American culture that we thought, oh, this would serve us well, as we retained certain things from Serbian, Croatian, Yugoslavian culture or Balkans culture that we thought, this, we don't want to lose this, that grit, that determination, that like hard work and like working for what's right, what's just, like speaking up when something's not right too. Like I feel that those are the certain values that we don't want to lose. We want to actually pass them down to our children. But there are so many other things from American culture that we adapted and that we love. So it's now we're in between, like the cultures. So where we welcome, yes. But was it easy at the beginning? It wasn't easy for years. It was very hard for us living here. My parents, and I believe my dad passed away since my mom is still living here, but they never adapted. They never learned the language fully, so they could not never like meet people from this culture to know them. So they were like stuck in space in the time frame when they left Serbia and Croatia. So even when they go back now, life there is different. People evolved, processes evolved, cultures evolved, and they're like stuck in 90s still, or were at the time. So yes.
I want to take a very brief moment to tell you about myself, the Cooper Culture, a certified veteran-owned small business. I am a retired lieutenant colonel serving the Air Force for 22 years as an F-4 pilot, commander. I have 300 combat missions. I specialize in executive leadership training, team building, and workplace culture, where we help businesses to develop a culture of loyalty, trust, and by developing personality traits and personal strengths, we can help identify those traits that support the company's objectives. We do this through half-day and all-day training shops. I'm also a public speaker where I welcome the opportunity to speak with your group to help you develop your team to the point where people are loyal and they know exactly how they fit in the organization and contribute to your strategic objectives. Through that, you will have a very profitable company and a psychologically safe space where people know they can freely discuss everything about the company themselves, and we are always working together to progress. Contact me at ron@thecooperculture.com. Our website is thecooperculture.com. Look forward to the opportunity to speak with your group, work with your group, to take your group to the next level to where we soar together. Let's work together. Did you learn English after you arrived in the United States?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you had to learn English to even get into school. And so how long did it take you to where you felt comfortable? Yes, I know English well enough to start learning in school.
So it was a few years that I felt comfortable. I would say, so what happened in school, they like math and certain like sciences are very advanced, what we taught at the time. So they gave us a test and we passed for our grades or above our grades, but we stayed in our grades because we wouldn't understand maybe what they're saying. So what I would do in math, just follow what they put on the blackboard or overheads and stuff at the time and just follow. I'm like, okay, I learned this already. I can deal with this. Other things, and then of course, like arts, and those are easier because they show and you do. But English, we had also English as a second language. So they would like teach English as to beginners essentially. So after a year, like of being here, living here, they actually told us that we are above the English as a second language so that we can just go to regular classes. So we started taking like regular classes right away, like after like my second year here, so my junior year here. But I didn't feel, even though I understood it and I could do the work, I didn't feel that I can speak it as my, or maybe I was just also a teenager, afraid to make mistakes and sounding different. So I really I didn't try to go out of my way to speak a lot. So I would say it was probably my senior year, maybe even first year of college. So maybe two to 3 years that I felt very comfortable. And then I remember always people say, like, if you dream in a different language, that's when you're like fluent. And I feel around that time, that's when I started dreaming in English too. Maybe
Now, I want to ask you a very personalized opinion, and I hope you'll be very honest with me. Think as you know Americans that are at your age or younger, do you think there are a lot of Americans younger than you that are not nearly as resistant, resilient as you are? Do you feel there are a lot of young people who just have it real easy, that no one has experienced anything like you? And I hope, Milica, you'll be very honest with your response to that question.
Well, I have to say that a lot of people go through different things in life, through very hard circumstances, challenging circumstances. Whether they understand my situation, yes, a lot of Americans have not been, and I'm grateful for that. The country hasn't during that era gone through anything like that. So yes, they wouldn't understand living in, but there are people though that live in poverty, even in this country, even in the city that I live in. So there are people, probably a lot of people that live through similar circumstances that maybe don't have food every night and go to bed hungry. So those circumstances such as that, maybe there are not, hey, like somebody that was my neighbor yesterday, now we are in this conflict and they're like shooting guns and like that situation, when like almost betrayal, because that's the part that I didn't understand for a long time. How could these these ethnicities within the same country get into conflict with each other to all of a sudden, like if you kill your neighbor, it is okay. Like that's the part that I couldn't understand. And that's part probably that a lot of Americans can't understand. It's hard to conceptualize that. My mom's family stayed on Croatian side. My dad and us, my mom, we stayed on the Serbian side. So in that case, like if my uncle and my dad were in the war, they're fighting each other. They were fighting people that they knew, that they worked with, that they went to high school. That's the part that even for me, it's hard to understand. And I still had a lot of that judgment, and maybe I don't even hate is a very strong word for me, but even that inside of me, I couldn't understand. And when I was writing a book, like it just like I feel like I released so much of that tension that I kept inside that I didn't understand. Like going to Croatia wasn't always pleasant experience for me because I remembered all the stuff and probably stuff that I didn't understand as a child. So finally, last year, after I wrote a book and we went the last 2 years in a row, I felt like almost free, like as if writing it and putting words on a paper my freed me those experiences. And yes, they shaped me. And yes, that's the influence of who I am today. And I will never forget those experiences, but they don't have to trap me. They don't have to influence of how I act in the world and who I am, how I show up in the world with anybody. Doesn't matter what ethnicity, culture, race they're from. So going back to the original question, then I do think like even let's say my husband he was born and raised here in St. Louis, Missouri. And his biggest thing that he went through was divorce of his parents, which I never experienced. My parents, even through all those hardships, stayed together. And yes, was it perfect? Like what I saw and how we lived? No, it wasn't perfect. But at the end, like I felt like they put my brother, like our family in front of everything else. And I'm grateful for that. I felt their love even when they were not always, I mean, perfect parents. Nobody is. So like when I hear my husband talking about his experience going like his family separating, his parents going through a divorce, and what impact it had on him as a 12-year-old too, the same age as what was happening when I was at that age. I mean, then I try to realize that we all go through some hardships, and you don't know what's worse. You just know your experience. And that's how I try to understand other people and try to understand what they're going through because they're defined with experience they had. So they can't even imagine something beyond, just like I couldn't. I always tell myself there's worse than what I've been through. There's better, but there's also worse. So that is my honest opinion.
You have a great attitude. Uh, have you published your book?
Yes, I have. So about 6 months ago,
And what's the title of your book?
Under a Whistling Sky.
All right. Now, how can our listeners get a copy of your book?
So I have a website. So it's my first name, Milica, my last name, vogt.com. And it talks about my background a little bit. There are some more information, some videos, pictures, and also ability to purchase the book if anybody's interested.
Wow. I think our listeners need to understand that you have what seems to me such a great attitude that you experienced a lot of things, but you're always thinking, it seems, there's something better. There's always something better, and I'm looking for whatever is better. And I'm not a victim of my current circumstance, but there's always something better. Does that somewhat describe you, or maybe you can describe yourself better than I just did?
Oh, that's great. Yes. I feel that we can always do something to make our life better, even if and it doesn't have to be. So this is one thing when I always thought about like, it's not that we have to build a whole pathway now for 5 years from now. Like it's hard. It's hard to imagine, especially if you are living in a hard circumstance, like to think about how can I build my life and what can I make sure to have that LA house that I saw in Beverly Hills show, like but it's like small steps. It's those like little like, what can I do today to make myself feel better? What can I do today to like get out of my constant thoughts, maybe of the circumstances that I don't want to live in? So that can be something simple as reading a book or walking in a park or just to clear your head. And then what is the next step? What can I do to make my life better? Yeah, aspiration, that's what drives me. And the vision that I want that house maybe that I saw on the show, but it's not realistic in the moment. So what are the realistic steps that I can do today? Tomorrow may be different. So yes, so I have a lot of, in all my life, I felt like that I always aspired to more and that I'm a driven person, but I also feel like I'm a realistic person. And all the circumstances that shaped me, like all the things, living life that I had up to the age of 15, I think, I don't know, taught me a lot about people, taught me a lot about myself.
Do you have a desire to maybe visit refugee camps to inspire people to have hope? There's something better, greater than where they are at the time, and you can help them achieve something better. Do you see yourself doing that?
I would love to do something like that. So even the reason for writing the book was, how can I help somebody else going through hard times in life, through hardship, get to the other side? Because that can be one chapter of the book, but definitely there is so much more to life than whatever happens for a couple of years. So yes, I would love to do that kind of stuff. And the reason for writing this book was to inspire and motivate other people to do their best and to aspire to life beyond what they're currently living.
Do you feel you could go back to Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, in that area and
Uh,
be the
given
per
many years,
I didn't know if you would feel accepted there or just how you may even feel.
yeah, life is different there too. So we went multiple times, my family and I, and my mom. So in the book, I put a few pictures. After we went back for the first time, we took a picture of house, which everything was destroyed in it. So the windows, everything was taken out, and it was just a ruin of walls. So those pictures are in the book. But my mom decided a couple years ago that she's gonna go back and rebuild that same house. So she went a month ago. She's living in that house now that we left 31 years ago in August. And my brother and his family, my brother lives in Florida and he's a doctor the same way. He was very ambitious and very driven person. So him and his family are now visiting my mom in Croatia, living in that same house for a few weeks, for a couple of weeks. So yes, we feel like we can go back. We can definitely go back. Croatia is part of the European Union, and yes, those things, there's history there, and you can find people that maybe lived through that because it was only 30 something years ago. There are still people that lived in the war and that maybe lost people that it's really hard for them to maybe associate with people on the other side. But overall, people coexist again. It will never be the same as it was before 90s, before the war erupted, but just new learned way of coexisting together.
So
So
is your mom living alone in Croatia in the home you just described?
she just went to visit. She finished it and went to visit so a month ago, but she's here. She also lives in St. Louis, Missouri. Just went to
Okay.
visit
All
and
right.
to hang out with
Um,
people there.
no, I wasn't sure if, just how long she was. If okay, so she is not living in that home permanently. She's there
No,
close to you. All right.
yeah.
Melissa, you've lived an incredible life, and I thank you for this opportunity to learn of what you have done, what you are doing. You're a great inspiration to a lot of people that there's nothing too great to overcome. When you have the right attitude, you're always thinking about the future, those things over which you have control, you can make a better future for yourself. I just sense you're living a great life and you're a great inspiration to a lot of people. On behalf of our listeners, I want to thank you, Milica, for who you are, what you're doing, and continue to be an inspiration to everybody that There's nothing too difficult to overcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and for having me on the show. It was a pleasure to speak with both of you.
It was just great, Milica. Thank you so much.
You.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life experiences with you.
The Cooper culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.